Tape 6.
You recognize the sound you're hearing, which is an old-fashioned movie projector called the 8mm, and this was a Keystone Triad, I think it was called. It had 3 lenses. Anyway, this was our first trip as a young family to Bermuda. The second trip, we went there on our own sailboat, but that was many years later, in 1980. These movies were taken about 1964. This father's like an old fox, because I took these movies to be able to deal with kids who say, I don't remember having any childhood. I don't remember my childhood. Nothing happened. You know, we didn't take them anywhere. Well, we took them everywhere. We took them all over Canada and the U.S. and part of Mexico. We were forever traveling. We took several trips to my roots in Newfoundland, and they went with us everywhere. It was cheaper than paying babysitters. The first few nights we moved into the Bermudiana Hotel, beautiful hotel. I don't think it exists anymore. My God, the dinner settings were 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. and we chose the 6 p.m. so we could get our little kids off to bed. Well, we had 4 or 5 waiters making a fuss over us on this big table with enough dishes to feed an army. And the kids looked at all the food and they said, can we have chips and Coke? Well, next morning we moved into a little cottage where they could pick their own tropical fruits, and where the youngest one, Sharon, she was able to, and she would chase the chickens all over the little garden to watch the egg drop, and she would bring the egg in and it was still hot. Warm eggs we had for breakfast, fresh. Both our kids were natural goofballs whenever they were posing in front of the camera. I think they got that from their mother. Trudy was a bit of a goofball too in front of the camera. I don't know who took these 8mm because I'm actually in a few of them, and it's very seldom I get in these old movies. The old 8mm, the speed, it was not enough frames per second. Hence, the camera, I guess, was a bit shaky. Our kids today are over 50 years old. My beautiful, sweet wife, Trudy, is now deceased for about the past 6 months, not not even that. And life has changed a lot. Bermuda was beautiful then and is beautiful today. We are very happy to go back there often. It is a British colony. The accent is very British now, and the people are lovely. The flowers, the birds, they're just flamingos, everything is just so beautiful there. It's like paradise. The cars, if you want to buy a new car, there are limitations as to how you can get rid of the old one. You must sell it to a taxi company. If not, you must cut it in half and ship it off the island. And there are some other rules I just forget. And of course they still drive on the left side of the road down there, the same as in England. This was an area where there were over 100 parrots, probably closer to 200, and they were all in their own cage, and they were all very quiet when we arrived, and our kids played with them and fed them and talked to them. And then one parrot used the four-letter word and told us where to go. Well, the kids were jumping up and down at first with what they were saying. They did not know exactly what they were saying, but my wife picked it up. Wow, she covered her ears, and we had to take the kids by the hand and get them out of there, but they were still laughing and looking back at the parrots, and we could still hear the parrots telling us to F off, all 100 of them. Yes, it was fun. This is our guide, a local taxi driver, and we hired him for the day, and it was well worthwhile because he showed us all over the place, places which we would not have been able to find on our own. And besides, you're not allowed to rent a vehicle on the island. You could only rent a little motorbike, a little scooter, which we did that for the sake of our kids so they could ride the motorized bike for the first time in their lives. So at least the oldest one did, our son. remember the girl in the yellow, just coming up right there you go, that's her. I forget her name, but she was what was called the chambermaid. And, you know, she was like she made the beds and would keep the cottage clean for us. She was kind of a depressed person because she said she wanted to get off the island. But she was not allowed to get off the island unless she could show that she had a two-way ticket, prepayment to come back. Well, we had just bought our first house for $12,800 with $100 deposit, and we couldn't afford it, but when we were able to afford it, we saved the money and we sent her, there she is again, that's her, I forget her name, but we sent her the money to come to Canada. Well, gee whiz, we told her she could stay with us for a month or so until she found work, but we found after she arrived, she was a member of the 5W club. We won't work, will we? So we had to ask her, you know, to find a place to live. We couldn't afford to feed another person at that time forever. Well, she moved out and she kept in touch with us for a while. Last we heard, she had got pregnant and we never ever heard from her again. So sometimes it is not the best idea to reach out to people. That was our Masonic picnic you're looking at there. And, oh boy, that was fun.